Right, okay. Hairdressing divide. This is a subject inspired by George, I think, who, is. Firstly, George, just explain to everybody where you're based.
So I'm based in a small mining town called Rotherham. So it's quite a poor area. There's no branded clothes shops or anything in my town. So yeah, but we have a good clientele.
Okay, and Jordana, tell everybody where you're based.
So I'm based in Kensington, which is west of London. Not quite central, but it's very close to central London.
Okay, and I'm based bang in the Midlands in a village location. So it's fair to say we've got the north, we've got the south, we've got the Midlands. We haven't got the east or west. But I think I wonder, and I asked that question, and straight away Lee's come in. I said, "Is there a divide?" He's put yes. I'm a northerner in the south. Right. I wonder, is the hair industry still too caught up with London, George?
I I think no. I think do you know what? I think the skill level and the stuff that goes on in London is still the most exciting place to be in the UK for me personally when I do shows. But I do think that the sort of skill level and what people are doing, it's really exciting where we are now, and I think that's probably because of social media and we can put ourselves out there more. Because without it, like us guys would never have connected. None of this would be happening right now.
Mm,
So yeah, I think it's definitely given social media's given us the chance in other areas to kind of say, look at what we're doing here.
yeah. Do you think it's an advantage being in London, Jordana?
I guess from a networking point of view, I do, but I think for making money, no, absolutely not. Your overheads are far more expensive, and your fixed costs are just astronomical, which leaves you with quite small profit margins, meaning you just don't make the same amount of money if you're in central in comparison to suburban London. So kind of swings and roundabouts here.
Okay. Well, I always think that we're very obsessed by working in London if we're from outside London. Do you think that still exists, George? Because you made a really good point that actually your profile has become, yeah, really well known here in the UK now. Social media has obviously played a part of that. If social media wasn't around, okay, would you have wanted to go to London, or have you wanted to be in London to work?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've wanted to be in London to work, and I find it super exciting. I feel like, I feel like if you're wanting especially if you're just first starting out and you're wanting to retrain and you're wanting a really solid career. I'm not selling London to people now because there's people like me, there's people like Rob Eaton, there's people all over that'll train really well. But I think if you want really good training, you want a really good mentor, that's initially, if I'd not had my kids when I did, that's initially probably where I would have gone. But I don't think that I think there's a lot of salons everywhere now that can give you that.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you don't need to be in London to get that great salon. I mean, I go to
I think so.
Manchester, and also Jordana here. Yeah, where is it? Lindsay, I'm in the west of Scotland. Do Scotland, Wales, Ireland feel very removed from hairdressing? I guess where I'm coming from is so many events when they were on were in London. I know we see, Pro Hair, Manchester. I think Hairdress Journal done a couple of Creative Head. Do we need to be touring the UK more, giving people more accessibility to these sort of live events?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. And I did see it. I did see it with Fellowship Hair. They were doing loads of events in the Midlands, they were doing events in Glasgow. And I think it's great that we get to visit other people's hair homes. And it's good for Londoners to kind of get out of the hustle and bustle and cities and see actually there's so much influence you can take from other cities too. Like, I think Scottish hairdressers, and I might be generalising here, but are so amazing. Like they take talent off the chart. And I think that's because they're so creative and surrounded by so much creativity, and like everyone's quite, I don't know, daring with their haircuts then as well. So I think Scottish hairdressers are just incredible.
Do you know?
But,
I think city hairdressers in general have that. There's more creative hub coming from cities, whether
Yeah.
that's, and I can talk only from doing open chair night when we went to Leeds and we went to Glasgow, Edinburgh. I will still say Scotland was probably one of my favourite places in terms of creativity, and because Glasgow and Edinburgh, I mean, are mega cities. But Lynette here, who's in Belfast, you know, we can't ignore Northern Ireland, can we, either,
No,
as
there's
well?
some amazing
Yeah,
hairdressers in
Damien,
Northern Ireland.
Paul Stafford, Lynette, you know, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
this is what I mean. It's almost like we need, you know, should we be encouraging people to work in different parts of the country rather than just in London, Jordana? Because I still feel London get the pull of more people to work, and you get probably, and you know, overseas,
Yeah.
you know, I think recruitment, I don't think is such a problem in London, is it?
Well, we can't ignore the fact that we've got 11 million people. So, you know, we have to take that into consideration. That's probably why a lot of the events are held there. But it's ironic because my salon's in the heart of London, but I spend lots of money and lots of team meetings trying to make the salon feel more village-like and more family-run and more, you know, like the local salon where everyone knows your name. And it's ironic because then you hear people come from village salons and they're like, I just love a city salon. But it's funny because you want to have both. You know, you want to have both feelings in your salon. You want it to feel like quite fresh, young and cool. But then you also want it to feel like everyone knows each other's names and you've been coming here 10 years. So there's definitely a place for both. And I think that's across all cities.
Yeah. Paul's just made a great comment here. Paul Cochrane, let's just flag that up. South v North or London v the rest of the country? I feel that London does get this sort of, London this, and you know, because when we talk about South, you can talk. I know Viv, you know, and I know various other people who are based down in South West. They feel very isolated, but we all get drawn to London. And I think my only other thing sometimes is there a bit of a click to the London hairdressing scene, George? Events and fellowships. I mean, come on, we've got to be truthful here. Is there a click to predominantly London hairdressers as ambassador roles, as hosting events?
I mean, I do. I try to get on with everyone, me. But obviously, if you do go to London and it's the same hairdressers going, so there's always going to be a little bit of a. There's always going to be a bit of a click going off. But it's not something that I've noticed too much. But yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
There's clicks everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there is clicks everywhere. Do you think that, Jordana? Do you think sometimes there is? Do we see, again, I guess what I'm trying to go at is that there seems to be a small percentage of hairdressers who do the same touring circuit and get featured in the same kind of things, and are we missing out on people because of location, or am I wrong?
I would completely agree. I think I don't see a divide anymore at all.
Good.
Maybe I'm just being naive, but I mean, my best friend James is in Birmingham. I'd go and visit Georgia for my bleach. I'd go. Do you know what I mean? I just don't see that divide anymore. Like Sarah Mason, I feel like I connect with her loads. She's from Ireland, and now we're talking to hairdressers in South Africa, and you see some of the big companies now promoting ambassadors from all over the world.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, them days are gone. Yeah.
I think before social media, I think there was more of a circle because but obviously this just opens everybody's eyes, doesn't it? How does somebody know what you're doing in the north if you're based in London? How do I know what somebody else is doing in London if I'm based in the north?
For what my point value is worth, I don't think there's a divide. I've got to be honest. I think because social has allowed anybody from anywhere to have a chance, and I think it comes down to one, having talent, and two, and you'll know I believe in it, getting off your backside and making things happen, and not using your location as an excuse. And And somebody comes to mind for that is James Masters, who, he's done incredible. He's in Norfolk, in a sleepy old retirement town, which he openly admits to, and that's it. And George, you've said a mining town. Rotherham is hardly rock and roll, is it?
Oh, I don't know, mate. You see some sights, let me tell you that.
So do we think there's a divide, yes or no?
No.
I think it'd be across, no. I think I agree.
No,
I don't think there's any divide. I think it's great. And do we feel Scotland, Wales, Ireland are all inclusive of the English hair scene as well? Are we all as one? George?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah. I
think so is not yes.
Well, no, I do. Yeah, no, I think as an industry, there is far less. I remember being a Saturday girl or whatever, or growing up in salons and working in salons, and somebody had come and asked for some foil, or they'd ask for something, and that salon would say no. I don't think there's anything like that now.